Arielle and welcome back to my channel. About 6 months ago, I gave you a van tour of my new van, which is a 2018 ProMaster, and I'll put that tour somewhere on the screen and also a link to it in the description box below if you want to see it. But basically, when I did that van tour, we had just gotten this van, like literally had just driven it off the lot 10 minutes before, and it was exactly how it came to us. So we bought the van from Dave and Matt's Vans, which is this amazing company out of Gypsum, Colorado, who does just really, really awesome van builds. And we were super excited about it, and I wanted to share it right away. But we've now had the van for, like I said, about 6 months. We've done some big adventures in it, some of which you guys have seen if you followed along in my vlogs. And I felt like it was about time to do a follow-up van tour to show you all the little things that we've added, all the personalized touches that we've made, and also talk about some of the things that we've changed and why, and yeah, just what it's like now having lived in the van a bit, and the things that we have added or subtracted to make it more personal and to make it better to fit our needs. So instead of rambling, I'm just gonna jump right into the van tour. Okay, so first things first, I want to talk about storage space and like cabinetry. So when we originally bought the van, it came with these upper cabinets here, and then this whole kind of countertop space with the drawers, and this is where all the water is stored and everything like that. And that was really it. There is one little pop storage thing here, and then underneath this was completely open. So we had to get creative as to how we wanted to stay organized in the van. And originally we didn't have these back cabinets up here. It was just all open space. And we thought about getting them right when we bought the van, but we decided to wait and really just use the van a little bit first and see what we ended up needing. So yeah, with one person, it was more than enough storage, especially adding another little drawer thing down here, which I'll talk about more in a moment. But with two people, when my husband and I traveled in here together, it was not nearly enough storage. And so we've recently added in this extra set of cabinets above the bed. I just drove down to Dave and Matt's and they installed this. It was super quick and super easy, and it matches and everything looks great. So that's really exciting. And so this all new storage here is for my husband's stuff, his clothes and toiletries and things like that. And then that way I can use the space underneath the bed for my storage. All right, so if we move into where I store all of my stuff, this is something that I've actually had to change and adjust, having used the van a little bit more. So originally when we bought it, I always knew that I wanted to put some sort of like dresser drawer situation down here for my clothes and my shoes and things like that. So I think most people would, measured out the space that was, you know, the width between these two pieces here, and measured out the height of this. And I bought a dresser drawer that would fill the space perfectly. And when I took the van out, the first adventure was me by myself with my bike. Everything fit perfect, and I was so excited because I totally maximized the storage space underneath the bed for my clothes. And then my husband and I took our first road trip in the van with both of our bikes, and I realized that it would no longer fit. So if you look down here, you can see that his bike, which is an extra large frame, actually comes well beyond underneath the bed and actually over to the side a bit too. So what ended up happening was the dresser drawer that I put got shoved all the way over, and it was smashed up against this, making it impossible to plug anything in, and also impossible to open the drawers because they would keep smashing into this. So right before we left on this current trip that we're on right now, I remeasured and I bought basically the same dresser drawer because I liked the look in a smaller size, and it's been so great. I know that technically it's a downgrade space-wise, but it's been such an upgrade in convenience and ease of use, and ultimately I really didn't need all that extra storage for clothing anyways. Something I learn every single road trip that I'm on is that I wear so much less than I thought I would, and so I feel like every single van trip I bring less and less and less. So this has been perfect. As you can see, I have a bungee on the front of it because when you're driving, basically everything needs to have like a secure way to lock in place, and for this, the option that we've gone with is a bungee because it's super easy. Okay, so after clothes, we really had to think about storage for food, general camping gear, our toiletries and electronics, and then of course all of our outdoor adventure gear, which that'll be the last thing I show you because most of that lives in the garage of the van. But for interior space, we had to think about how we could really maximize the storage that we did have so that we could live in the van for extended periods of time. We don't live in the van full time, but we tend to take like big, long, lengthy road trips like we're on right now. So basically these two upper cabinets here are full of food. To maximize the space in the cabinets, I found these little baskets, and I feel really lucky because I was able to find baskets that are exactly the perfect depth, meaning they fit flush here, and two of them make up the exact perfect width. And having baskets really makes cabinets a little bit more efficient, because then you can kind of let things get stuck down in here, and I feel like you can just fit so much more stuff. So for us, we can do, I mean, realistically, we go to the grocery store not quite twice a week, but somewhere in that range. But we really could be in the van for over a week without needing to go to the grocery store because we have so much food storage up here. Okay, if we just move down a little bit in elevation, we can go down to this dish here on the back of the countertop, and it is the depth of a Nalgene or whatever water bottle you like to use. And I know I spent a little bit of time talking about it in my other van tour video, and I'm honestly obsessed with it. If you're looking for a way to add like a bunch more storage in a really simple way, this thing is awesome. We use it as a drying rack just to keep things out of the way. Obviously I have some little plants in there to add some ambiance. We have our hand soap, cups, mugs, everything like that. So this thing has been really awesome, and I highly recommend having like a little dish like this. I would have never thought to build something like this myself, but luckily I had Dave and Matt's, and they were totally thinking of things that I never would have thought of. So something that might be hard to tell from the video is how deep our countertops are. And what is so great about having that much depth is that our drawers are really deep. So all of our drawers extend out quite far. And something that was happening when we first got the van was that they came with this little bit of Velcro, and it was holding them in place until they were fully loaded with all of our stuff for daily use. And then I was like going around corner and they'd come out. And so I just added an additional strip of Velcro on the side, and it was a simple and super cheap solution. And now I don't have any issues with drawers flying open. So something you can consider if you're having that same issue. And we have it organized basically by like, this is like an everyday everything drawer, literally batteries, cutlery, ibuprofen, spices, cleaning stuff, like everything lives in there. And then this is like overflow cleaning stuff and toiletries type things in these two. And our bottom drawer is where we keep our pots and pans and our like flatware. We basically just have two of everything since there's two of us, so there's no need to bring any extra. And my favorite thing. Okay, so I feel like I could not do this video without showing you my favorite new addition. My husband makes fun of me because I'm way more excited about this than I probably should be, but I feel like that's just adulting. You get excited about things like kettles. So this is an electric kettle. It's super easy to use. Like you just saw me put it together. It packs down basically flat. It's also my favorite color. But it's an electric kettle. It plugs right into this guy, and it's just a super quick, easy way to make water in the morning. We do have a double burner stove, like a camping Coleman stove, which is what we cook most of our food on. But a lot of times in the morning, I like to wake up and make some tea or coffee or something like that first. And then we might drive an hour or two before we want breakfast. And I was finding that it was kind of a pain in the ass to have to rebuild the kitchen every time you wanted to just boil something like water. So this has been such a helpful solution, and because it packs down flat, it barely takes up any space. So this has been, yeah, one of my favorite new additions to our van arsenal lately. So one other thing I also keep in this drawer is my Magic Bullet blender. It's just like, again, a really small little device, little blender top, water bottle, and it plugs into here. I like to make like fancy elixir type drinks. I'm actually not really a coffee drinker, but I like to make things with like coconut oil and cacao, or like something called Dandy Blend. Anyways, I like to make a fancy morning drink, so I love having the blender, the little mini blender, and I love having the kettle. Now for the rest of our food and things, we use our Coleman stove, which we keep in here. If you watched my other video, you saw about our electric pump for gray water and 7-gallon jug for clean water. This is exactly what you'd expect it to be, just like a 2-burner stove. We have a griddle here, which honestly we've only used once, but we thought, you know, if we ever wanted to make pancakes and things. So basically I just take the Coleman when we want to cook food, and I bring it over to this space. And the reason I like having the kitchen set up like this is because then I have a ton of room for prep here. The fridge is right down below, so I'll put the cutting board and I'll prep everything I need here, and then I'll have it cooking over here. And what's cool is there's actually still a ton of room for people to hang out while you're cooking. So like someone could be sitting here in the swiveled passenger seat, someone could be sitting over here on the like bench seat or on the bed or over here. So we've actually had like 3 or 4 people in our van on a cold night while I cooked. And so I love that I can be cooking and there could still just be so much open communal space. But this is the setup that I have cooking. And like I said, the fridge is down below for anything that's cold. It's kind of like a cooler setup. So it's not a ton of cold storage, but definitely something. Kind of messy right now because we've been on the road for a little over a week at this point. I love I keep wanting to call it a cooler because it kind of looks like one. I love having the fridge. It's a Dometic fridge. The only thing I'll say with this fridge is that the numbers on this are extremely bright. And I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but if there's like super bright things in the room that I'm sleeping in, it just like keeps me up at night. So basically I always every night have to put something to cover this. Actually, something that makes me love my little kettle even more is that the black bag that it comes in is like the perfect thing to cover this. But before I had that amazing magical kettle in my life, I just used like a towel or a piece of clothing or something just to cover that light. So something to keep in mind if you're thinking about getting one of these, maybe having something like a door front to cover it, or just knowing that that light will be extremely bright and you will probably want something to cover it up when you're sleeping. So the bulkhead storage up here is kind of what it looks like. It's organized chaos. Basically we just keep a lot of miscellaneous things in here that we want access, like easy access to, that, you know, we want to be able to get really easily, like not something in the garage of the van, but things that are kind of big and bulky. So these are like our covers for our windshield and the passenger and driver side windows, which I'll show you in a minute how they work, because these were a recent addition that have made being on the road so much better. 1, for privacy, but 2, also they're blackout. So if you're at a well-lit rest area or something like that, you can actually like make the van dark enough. Yoga mats, Tabor's dog bed, towels, that sort of thing. So our van had 2 big windows in the back, and they were both the same size. Basically on the slider, we have the exact same window that you see here. And I went with a really inexpensive, simple solution for covering these, and that was just to buy these reflective windshield covers from like a Walmart or a Target. They were like $15 each, and I just cut them so that they fit perfectly in here and added some Velcro so they stayed in place. And so these are not completely blackout, but they are completely, still make it private back here. So these have been a really like efficient and affordable solution. And then in the front, we went with something like a little bit fancier. Originally, I just had a black curtain that I would tuck across here, which totally worked, but then you would lose all of the space out here in front, which is a lot of our like sitting, hanging out space. And so I did a little searching online, and I was able to find these things, which I kind of showed you earlier, which are custom made for the ProMaster. And I can put a link in my description box below to the brand that makes these. This is not sponsored or anything like that. I just really like them. And so basically this is cut perfectly to the windshield of a ProMaster. And then these 2 smaller ones are made perfectly for the passenger and driver side window. And they're actually magnetized so they fit in there perfectly. Okay, last but not least is gear, and I am blown away constantly by how much we fit in this van. So pretty much every time we hit the road, we pack the back of our van, which I call the garage, with 2 bikes, paddle boards, which we use the blow up kind, and then all of our climbing gear, hiking gear, my husband's camera gear, everything like that. So we are always fully loaded to the brim, and we also have levels for the back of the van and a spare water tank back there, and it's pretty amazing how well it all fits. I definitely took us a little bit of time to find the perfect solution for Tetrising it, but now that we've got that dialed, it's so quick and easy, and it allows us to bring everything that we could ever possibly want on every adventure that we go on. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Before I finish this video though, I want to give one last shout out to Dave and Matt Vans, because I am so obsessed with my adventure mobile and they have been so amazing to work with. So I'll make sure I put their info down in the description box below for any of you guys who are in the market. They do custom van builds, and yeah, they're just such wonderful people, and they have all sorts of cool bells and whistles that you can add in, all sorts of like really awesome customization options. So check that out below. And other than that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you want want to stay in the loop for all of our future adventures, van related or not, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will see you in the next video.